Doing okay, thank you.
So tell me, how is ADHD affecting
Okay, I'm calling Maritime Connection, CBC. We're talking about ADHD, so I'm not used to call.
There was nothing called ADHD.
And I had this alarm that goes on with the email. Don't know how to. Anyway, I'm going to call Maritime Connection and just give my view.
And I understood. Oh, okay. So there is this name.
When did I found it?
Condition has a name. And now I'm parent of a child who has ADHD. For me, it is like when you're concentrated on doing something.
Mid-40s.
Mostly something creative, or when you need to solve a problem, you go into a different realm and your brain disconnects and you just cannot concentrate on anything but that. And you
so I mean ADHD is supposed to be a benefit. That's what it's supposed to be. But they take it like, ooh, watch it.
Yeah, so I understand now with my 12-year-old that it's not his fault and that he is struggling and doing his best.
We just have to educate ourselves.
And sometimes he just thinks that he's careless and disorganized. And
plus I'm going to be distracted by that alarm.
ADHD, one of the parents has, if you want to put it this way.
Why is that? Why is it easier to parent the child if the adult has ADHD?
Because you understand, you can put yourself into his shoes. You understand that when he forgot his homework, lost his money, and came home without a jacket, you'd understand that it's not because he was careless, but because he really genuinely forgot because he was studying for a test. Right?
Is that how it's meant? Is that what it's like with your child with ADHD, that they're often forgetful, or do you also find that there are some things that they would absolutely never, ever forget?
Oh, there's something we don't forget, but that's when I'm Scottish. If we...
Like he was not diagnosed, I know they call it diagnosed as a gifted child. He's a Mensa member, so he has this as well.
If we're interested in an issue, we have the energy to excel. That noise.
Mundane things don't exist, like brushing his teeth, or forgetting his lunchbox, or going to school without a backpack. All these things. But again, for me, I understand because I've been there. I've not done that.
Wow.
And his dad gets very frustrated with, right? So we are trying to learn as a family how to deal with it.
That's very interesting.
And in a nutshell, what I want people to understand who don't have ADHD, that it's like going to a different realm where your brain disconnects from everything because it is so concentrated on doing something else.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that friends of yours or adult friends are skeptical about the ADHD diagnosis that you and your child both have?
It's education.
I have very good friends that understand, and I don't really share much.
Right.
I just go with it. It's something that you live with, and cannot say that I like it, but I understand that it gives me a little bit of a superpower, and I'll tell you how. Because when I need to do something, I can just.
I think she has ADHD.
I just need to have someone like my husband, for example, around me to take care. Oh, I am so sorry. This is a 1-year-old again. To take care of other things, right? So that I don't forget to switch off something on the stove.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's great to talk to you. Okay, thanks so much for calling in.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Okay.
Bye.
1-800-560-1940 is the toll-free number. Today we're talking about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and my guest is Heidi Bernhardt. She's the executive director and founder and president of CADOC. That's the Center for ADHD Awareness Canada, and she's with us on the phone from Markham, Ontario. Let's take another call from Charles LeBlanc in Miramichi, New Brunswick. Hey, Charles.
How you doing?
I'm very good.
Good.
Tell us about your experience with ADHD.
Well, if I tell you all my experience, it would take about 2 hours, and we have other callers. But no, in a nutshell, when I grew up, I knew there was something wrong with me, but I didn't know what it was. I mean, can you imagine in the 60s and the 70s trying to stay in the classroom and be and they force you to listen to a course that you're not interested in. Oh my God, that was all over the place. I couldn't stay in, but nobody knew what it was. And once I found out like you mentioned earlier, family, if you don't have the family support, you are done. You are done. And I have an uncle, Al LeBlanc from St. John, and he's the father that I never had. And he approached me and said, Charles, you got a mental disorder and you don't even know it. I said, oh, really? Oh, we found out what's wrong with me after all these years. You have ADD. I said, what the hell is that? Then at the end, make a long story short, neurologist, blah, 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 ADHD. And it was always with, he asked me, violence, outbursts. And at the end, he said, I have ADHD. Now, once I found out I have ADHD, oh my God, I said, it was just like 1,000,000 tons of steel that let go on my soldier. I have ADHD. I thought I could go to put on my resume and show up to an employer and say, I have ADHD. And the employer would say, what? You're one of them? Oh my God, come on, you're full of energy. People with ADHD, whatever they're interested in, they have the energy to excel. And trust me,
no question. Yeah.
Trust me, if you follow my history, go to Google, write my name, LeBlanc, Charles LeBlanc. I have a blog. I've been following, doing videos, doing stories, doing this, doing that, because I had the energy and I like it. But the bottom line of this long-winded conversation is education. Education. And I'm going to tell you something. Our court system in New Brunswick is so bad, so sad, that they don't really educate themselves on people. Now, can you imagine a person, let's say a panhandler, and he has ADHD, and then he doesn't pay a fine, and you put him in a jail cell for 30 days?
Yeah.
A person with ADHD, he's going to get out of there, he's going to be worse.
Tell me this, how old were you, Charles, when you were diagnosed?
Early 40s, and I work at the shipyard, and I had my picture. I was well known to write letters to the editor and everything, and my picture was on the front page. Charles LeBlanc deals with ADHD. Right. And then I had people approach me and say, oh, makes me understand you much better now. But right. Then I found out that kids in school, teachers were acting like doctors, and then I lived in a tent in front of the legislature for 6 months protesting the issue of Ritalin, and teachers were acting like doctors. And like I said, I'm ADHD right now. I'm jumping from one story to another, but it could go on and on.
So Charles, yeah, I've read your blog. I've seen your videos on YouTube for quite a while now. But do you take medication for it?
No, I don't, because I took some Ritalin when I first started, but it was just like my brain was all squeezed up. And I'll tell you one thing, but if I smoke a joint of marijuana, oh my God, I keep my mouth shut. I don't say a word. And some people say, my God, you should be stoned all the time. But when I'm stoned, I don't know if it's a different kind of marijuana, but I hate myself. I see myself like a jumping beanbag. And I know.
Let me ask you, has a doctor recommended that you take medication for it?
No. Right now, the education, right now, I'm not going too well by my education right now, because I should keep my mouth shut and listen. But if you have 5 people around you, and I would talk, blah, 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 and then the minute that the other person is finished talking, I jump in and don't let the 3 other people have their say. And at the end, it's all about me. And that's what people with ADHD got to learn, to keep their mouth shut and focus and listen. And I'm going to tell you something. It's not an easy life with ADHD.
Well, thanks so much for calling in and describing all that for us. I didn't know that, but I think a lot of people recognize some of the symptoms, some of the behavior you're talking about, Charles.
All we got to do is focus and try to give just people with ADHD, yes, they have lots to say, but take the time and listen. And one advice to the parents, don't ever call your child stupid, because people with ADHD, they speak before thinking. That is the most important thing. And at night, they can't go to sleep is impossible. They have to have the light on to they watch TV or read comic books. But just have patience with them, find out what they like, and what they like, they will excel in that issue, and they will be a success in life. You have a good day.
Charles, thanks a lot. Nice to talk to you again.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, Heidi, let me ask you about some of the things Charles brought up. One of the things
Will
is
be a success in life.
question of
You have a
medication.
good day.
Charles, thanks a lot. Nice to talk to you again.
You too.
All right, Heidi, let me ask you about some of the things Charles brought up. One of the things is the question of medication.
Hang up.
What's your view on that? Should all people diagnosed with ADHD consider medication or absolutely take it, or what?
No, consider is a good word. So treatment for ADHD should always be what we call multimodal. So there's a lot of different treatments. Medication is an option. It can be very beneficial for some people. And again, it depends on the severity of the ADHD. So ADHD is on a continuum. It can be very mild to very severe, anywhere in between. It depends on how it presents. So the way ADHD presents in a person is, again, very individual, the severity of it, whether it comes with or without the hyperactivity. But it's not the hyperactivity that we worry about in these kids. It's the attention regulation that will impair them in their learning and prevent them to go on to higher education. So we always say, first step, learn as much as you can about ADHD in general, then specifically learn how it impairs you or your child as an individual, then put in parenting strategies, definitely strategies and accommodations in school, but again, that's difficult when we're not educating the educators about ADHD. And then, for adults, there's other things like coaching and mindfulness and cognitive behavior therapy. Sometimes for kids we can do tutoring around executive functioning skills. But the thing with medication is it's almost the only thing that we have that effectively treats that attention regulation.
ADHD Canada supports the prescription of drugs.
Very well to turn somebody's attention on. And the earlier comment about they basically described over-focusing. So when they were very interested in something or they were involved in something that was very stimulating, like computer games and TV and things that have immediate feedback, yes, their brain can lock in, or if they're fascinated with a topic, their brain can lock in. The difficulty is they can't stop it and refocus. So, that's great if you're doing something where you don't have to stop, your boss doesn't interrupt you, your teacher doesn't interrupt you, your parent doesn't, that you've got to leave and go out the door, you've got an appointment, you've got a meeting, you've got other duties. That works well. The difficulty is when you have to stop focusing and switch that focus. So it can be a benefit. My husband who programs on the computer, when he's over-focusing, he can over-focus like nobody's business on the programming. But if I want to come in and have a conversation, I can have a conversation with him, and 2 hours later he'll swear I never said a word because he can't break his focus, right? So yeah, there are some benefits. There's, that high energy kind of thing. The problem is it's a double-edged sword.
One of the things that Charles talked about, and you mentioned your husband, he forgets the conversation, but Charles mentioned that when he's in a conversation with 3 or 4 different people, he's not listening. The way he put it, it's all about me. I'm just waiting for the conversation to stop so I can jump in and get out of my head what I'm trying to say.
And that's twofold, the reason that happens. One is he knows intuitively if he doesn't get it out quickly, he'll forget what he had in his mind, and the other is the impulsivity. Right. So when you put those two together, yes, he will frequently jump in and interrupt people in a conversation.
Okay, thanks again for being here and talking about this. This is Maritime Connection on CBC Radio 1. I'm Preston Mulligan. It's 29 minutes after 4 o'clock.
Well, I think for a person that wasn't rehearse. I never, usually when you call these talk shows, you mark everything down and you make sure you go boom, 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 boom. But I'm sorry, I just, where's the phone? I just turn around and stop the car. Stop, excuse me for 1 second. Excuse me 1 second, there we go. And don't drive and use a cell phone at the same time. Now, ADHD people don't even do that.